Hi, I'm Gerardo Herrera, Communication Director of Riskmathics, and here we are at the 14th edition of the Risk Management Training Conference. And we have the pleasure and the honor of having Tim Giannopoulos with us. Tim, if you can introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, I'm Tim Giannopoulos. My jobs right now are I'm a partner at a PE firm called Seven Ridge. I'm a partner also at an investment bank called Broadhaven. I'm a special consultant to the board of directors of a company called R.J. O'Brien and Son FCM, and I'm on the board of directors of 5 different Fintechs. So it's usually a long day.
Okay. Tim, great to have you here with us. FSOs and Fintechs, traditional banking incumbents and Fintechs, different cultures, different perspectives. The founder of one of the major Mexican Fintechs, a very successful one, once told me that banks, traditional banks or incumbents, are very good at process. So much so that they overwhelm customers with process. And Fintechs are very good at customer experience.
Right.
And that's why they could complement each other. How does this play? What is your experience? Does that really happen?
In my experience is that there's a major cultural gap between the traditional banks and the Fintechs. I liken them to the traditional banks being conservative suburban parents, and the Fintechs being their wild child living in the basement, risk-taking and doing things very spontaneously. Banks are very conservative, very cautious, very safe. They what I like to say is they default to status quo.
Okay. Can a traditional bank incorporate the entrepreneurial and innovative culture of a Fintech, and Fintechs can become institutionalized like traditional banks?
I don't think so. The experiences that I've seen when a bank has bought a Fintech is the bank, through all their process, through all their conservatism, takes out that creative flair in the Fintech. And usually the founders of that Fintech will end up leaving. They'll just stick around for a while if they have an earnout or something. Otherwise, they'll leave. And at least the bank has the technology that the Fintech brought it.
Okay. Where would you say is the future of financial services? Incumbents, Fintechs, a hybrid?
Yeah, my feeling is, and I'm a big advocate of this, is that the banks and the Fintechs have to learn how to engage with each other in a multifaceted way, not the traditional vendor-customer relationship. I think they need to be a little more creative, go off the beaten path, and try to come up with more of a partnership. Banks are not good at that. They like vanilla vendor-customer relationships. But if the relationship between the bank and the Fintech is going to thrive, they're going to want to figure out a way where you could check more boxes in that partnership. And what I mean by check more boxes, that means figure out all the different needs that each of the parties has, and then structure the partnership in a way that makes that happen.
Okay. You have talked about democratizing innovation. The idea that one has about the innovation is that it's already democratic, or it's widespread or common spread. Why do you talk about democratizing innovation? And specifically, you have mentioned terms like patent pools and this initiative that you have about code sharing, etc. Talk to us about a little bit more about it.
Yeah. So my feeling is right now we are in a once in a generation technology revolution. What we're going to see, what we're seeing right now, and what we're going to continue to see is the technology growing and advancing exponentially. If that's the case, then what I think we need to do is figure out a way to shortcut some of the innovation by, and especially the lower stack innovation, where it's more building blocks. I think we should try to collaborate on that, make that more of a situation where we're not reinventing the wheel. Have people share code, have people share IP, and then in terms of the more complicated stuff up tech stack, there they could differentiate themselves, and they do that alone. So I call that co-opetition, but I think that is an important part of what's in the future, I hope, in the financial services industry. And by the way, it's not unprecedented. Other industries have done these patent pools. Other industries have done these types of code sharing relationships. And it's actually win-win from the standpoint that they collaborate together and even improve on the code for the building block stuff. But then they're also they're able to spend more of their time, invest more of their energy on the differentiating types on the upper stack.
Okay. Now let's talk about AI. How does AI change the balance of power between incumbents, FSOs, and fintechs? Fintechs have the innovation and have the sense for the customer experience, but the banks have the money and the infrastructure. So how does that play? How is AI going to change this relationship or this balance?
Well, I believe that AI is going to only get more and more technical, and therefore it's going to require a larger budget for the technicians. I personally don't think that the banks want to go there. So I think the split between technological sophistication is actually going to grow. And it could be AI, like you said, or it could be cloud computing. It's going to continue to grow, and thankfully it is, because also the issues, the problems are going to continue to grow. And so I think we need to let the fintechs do what they're doing, and but at the same time, in collaboration with the banks, because you're right, the banks do offer, I think, a lot to the table in terms of their industry knowledge, their knowledge of risk, of surveillance, the regulatory knowledge, just their infrastructure. They offer a lot to that partnership. But in terms of technology expertise, I don't even see them being able to have a step that would be affordable for them to bring on. I didn't say that about the top tier hedge funds. I think they are willing to spend that. I do not see that with the banks, but I could be wrong.
Okay. So how do you see the industry in 10 years?
In 10 years? What I see it more globalized. I see a country like Mexico and LATAM countries catching up rapidly, African countries catching up rapidly, and I'm very excited about that. If you ask me the region, the country that I was most excited about being a fintech person, it's Mexico and LATAM. I was going to be very interested to see what exactly the fintech industry is able to do here. I hear that there's a forecast that the fintech activity is going to quadruple in the next 4 to 6 years. We'll see. But I'm excited because you have all these players in this movie. The regulators doing what they're doing, the banks and the bank industry doing what they're doing, the government trying to create that balance, and then you of course have the need for financial inclusion, and in these countries, and especially you need to address the competition issue with the banks.
Okay. Now that you mentioned Mexico and Latam, in as much as you're familiar with it, how well does Mexico play? You already mentioned some things, but are we the leaders in this in Latin America?
I think I would put you neck and neck with Brazil.
Okay.
And what I like about what Brazil is doing is a lot of if you look at their top banks, a lot of them are fintechs, large fintechs. So I think that's interesting, because again, I think banks need competition. It's a mafia there, and I think they need to be pushed. Otherwise, they're going to continue to make their money, and it's not going to trickle down. So I think that's interesting. But again, I think the fintech story is also interesting. And I look forward to the day when the banks in Mexico and the fintechs in Mexico have true collaboration. I see a little bit here and there with Santander and a couple other banks, but that's where I'm going to be very excited. I I I've worked really hard on structuring partnerships between those two, the banks and the fintechs, and I think if we're allowed to do it here in Mexico, not just the whole industry, the whole economy benefits, and then we also at the same time are able to deal with the inclusivity issue, which I think is crucial.
Okay, we are in an event dedicated, focused on teaching, learning, not only conferences. How important do you think these events are for the professionalization and improvement of the financial sector, banks or fintech in Latin America?
Absolutely crucial. The issues have to be brought to the table, and this is the place to do it. The attendance at a place like this, the way it's run, and the issues that are being discussed with candor and transparency, that's the only way that we're going to improve our industry, our financial services industry, which I love, but it has many, many flaws. That's the only way, to bring the issues in front of many people and let them, provide their input, but also learn a lot. Every time I come here, I learn more and more about what's going on, especially in Latin America. And as I said, I think that is going to be an opera, a dramatic opera, that is going to play out over the next 6 years. That will be really interesting.
Tim, thank you very much for your perspectives and your thoughts. This has been Tim Giannopoulos at the Risk Management Training Conference. Thank you very much.